I'll dig up your dead and feed 'em to my hogs. That's a quote from Dr. William F. Gaines, whose mill, Gaines Mill, was the namesake of the Battle of June 1862 in Cold Harbor, Virginia. We'll get to that in a minute. Cold Harbor is where we're going to be hunting today. Cold Harbor, Virginia is a tiny little place which in 1862, it was just a crossroads, probably had less than 100 people living in it. I would guess closer to 50 or 60. I cannot imagine how that place transformed when tens of thousands of soldiers descended on that unfortunate little crossroads. The Battle of Gaines Mill exploded all over Cold Harbor. Dr. William F. Gaines was an unabashed secessionist. He was a supporter of the Confederacy to the nth degree. In fact, I have a bond in my possession, a Confederate bond for $100, signed by Dr. William F. Gaines, dated January of 1865. Currency collectors call a bond like this a desperation bond. When he gave $100 to the Confederacy in January of 1865, the war was everything but over. He knew he was never going to see that $100 again, which brings us to the quote. This is a photograph of Dr. Gaines's home, taken in 1862. The general, seated in the center, is General William Smith. And at the close of the Battle of Gaines Mill, the Union Army had lost, figures vary, but about 1,000 dead. And he was so furious at Dr. Gaines, who was an elderly man at the time. He had taken over Dr. Gaines's home, and that was used as a headquarters for him and his staff. But he was so furious at at losing 1,000 young men at Gaines Mill that he angrily said to Dr. Gaines, "I'm going to bury every last one of them in your front yard." To which Dr. Gaines famously replied, "You go right ahead. And when you are gone, I'll dig them up and feed them to my hogs." General Smith must have taken him at his word, because as far as we know, those soldiers were not buried on Gaines Mill property. Today I'm going to be hunting on the edge of the Gaines Mill battlefield. It started slow, but turned out to be a good day. And I look forward to you going along with me to this historic, hallowed, and bloody ground. I think I'm going to call today's hunt hunting on the edge, because I'm not in the middle of anything here in terms of Civil War activity, but I'm on the edge of a couple of things. There was some battle nearby. There was a Union bivouac nearby. So today, I'm just going to call it hunting on the edge. Hopefully I find something good on the edge and don't fall off of the edge. I'm down in the swamp here and got a pretty decent signal here. Sounds like it could be a button. I broke through the rooty part. Alright, this was just a modern buckshot. I've dug some shotgun shells up in these woods, and I'm getting a signal here that seems to be a good signal. That does not sound like a good signal anymore. It sounds like a shotgun shell. Another shotgun shell. I really haven't found anything down in here. Swamp digging ain't easy. There it is. Oh, it's probably a piece of aluminum. Yep. Modern screw top aluminum. You know, I said I was going to call this hunt the hunting on the edge hunt. The problem with edges is you can be on the right side of the edge or the wrong side of the edge, and I've been on the wrong side of the edge all morning. I found literally nothing Civil War before lunch. I gave up on that swamp, and I'm out here in a field that I know has been hit hard. Little piece of brass. That's not worth a nickel. Yeah, that sounds really good. What is that? That might be a Colt. I think that is a Colt pistol bullet. I definitely didn't have high hopes for this. Nice, consistent tone. So I'm thinking lead or brass. Okay, I see green. Shotgun shell? Shotgun shell. Yeah. Ah! There's green. I think that's a knapsack rivet or a leather rivet. Yeah. It could be from a cartridge box or a leather belt, but it could also be off of a horse halter or harness set for a farmer. So you never know. So we got a piece of farm junk. I don't know what to think of this. That's just iffy. That's a bullet, probably modern. Oh, not hearing anything on the pinpointer. Still in there. I like that. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Do you see green? I see green. Oh, do you see it? Right there? Oh yeah. That's a button. That's a Civil War button. A General Service Eagle button. But got a shank on it. Hot diggity dog. I thought I was going to go home very disappointed today, because I haven't found anything other than what I think is a Colt pistol bullet and a rivet. And then to pull out a button. Hot dog. Some poor Yankee boy was way down here in Virginia fighting for his life. And there's his button. It's not a great signal, but it says it's in there. Ought to be right on it, right there. Hold your breath. Let's see what we get. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do I see green? It looks like green, and it looks like round, and that's it. No, it's a shotgun shell. I'm assuming another shotgun shell here. Another shotgun shell. I was right. Right there. Pretty shallow. Okay. Oh, look. You know what that is? That is a pocket watch winder. Back in the day, you didn't wind a watch from the stem. You wound a watch like you wound a clock. And you had a little key to wind the watch with. And that's what that is. I see some black ash, but I'm close to a house site, so I'm not sure what that is. I think it's just a cap off of something. Looks like it's got a little design on it. I'm in a trashy area. I think this is kind of where the family threw their trash. And there's aluminum. That's it. Dog it. Yep. It's not a bad sounding signal right here. And it's still in the bottom of the hole. That's always a good sign. Oh, is that aluminum? Okay, that's not aluminum. That looks like a carved bullet, not carved with any beauty, but that looks like the back of like a Sharp's carbine or something that a soldier cut off, maybe to make a game piece or maybe just out of boredom. I'd say this is a good signal. This sounds like it's a period target. Getting a signal right down there. That looks like that's a Civil War bullet. But it's got an old white patina on it. It's been in the ground a while, and yeah, still in the hole, and sounds good too. Sounds like a bullet. Right there, whatever it is. Another one of those small, they don't look exactly like Colts, but they kind of do. Maybe not. What'd that be? I see green. Oh my. What have we got here? Okay, it's definitely a button. like a little cuff size. All right, so it's a little military button. Yeah, it's a little eagle cuff button. Come on now, another eagle button. All right. Right there is where we're looking. Oh yeah, aluminum foil. I think we got something here. This sounds like an old target, and it sounds deep. Sometimes when you open up the hole, it sounds even weaker. And this one does. Uh-oh, is that aluminum? No! Looky there. I'll be dog. It's probably 415, and I finally found a Civil War bullet. I'm betting this is a bullet. Ah, we're deep. And every hole is an education. You should try to remember what everything sounded like, so you'll remember what to dig and what maybe to skip. All right, I'm bumping it, and it looks white like a bullet. You see it? Right there? That white there looks like a bullet to me. That's what we got. This one's fired. That might be a 69. I think it is. Heck yeah. I'm all about it. It actually sounds better than before. All right. Okay. Come on, pinpointer. All right, this is not good. Wow. It's a whole lot of digging for nothing. I've had some fun here at the end. It took me to the last 2 hours of the hunt to find anything, but I'm having some fun here. This sounds like a good signal. A little piece of brass of some kind. So let's dig this up and see. It's just a buckshot. We ought to be right on it right there. Uh-oh. There it is, whatever it is. Oh, is that the nose of a Civil War bullet? I think it might be. Yep. All right. This has turned out to be an okay day. All right, we're not too close to it. It's got some depth. All right, I'd say we're less than an inch away now. Uh-oh, I see green. I see green. Is that a shotgun shell? Probably is a shotgun shell, and it is a shotgun shell. Here's another opportunity for me to make a fool of myself. This sounds like a really good target. Definitely getting to the end of my hunt. You can tell I'm losing light, and I got a signal right there. Let's see if we can pull one more good target out. Uh-oh. I see green and I see round. Let's take a vote. Is that a shotgun shell? Or is that a button, or is that a coin? What do you think? I think it's a flat button. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flat button. Just a nice little Civil War flat button. That's the kind of signal I want to dig. The hunt that I called the On the Edge hunt is over, and it wasn't a bad day at all. Few bullets, flat button, couple of military buttons, watch winder. I'm not complaining about the day at all. Thanks for coming along with me on this little relic hunt, Civil War relic hunt on the Cold Harbor, Gaines Mill battlefield. I thought I was going to get skunked. About 3.5 hours with absolutely nothing Civil War. And it wasn't until I got in the field that I started finding a few Civil War relics. But it turned out to be worth it. And whenever I can walk a Civil War battlefield and come back with some things that belonged to a Civil War soldier, lost 160 years ago, not seen by anybody, not touched by anybody until I pulled it out of the ground. When I can do that, it's worth it for me. Sometimes people will write to me and they'll say, hey, sometimes you say, this sounds like a Civil War bullet. What does that sound like? Or this sounds like a period target. Well, what does that sound like? And I'm going to tell you about my experience with the Deus 1. But before we do that, I want to give you a little bit of perspective on what we used to use back in the day. So this was my dad's relic hunting rig back in the early 70s. It's just a Metratech with a homemade handle on it to allow a wider swing. Back in that time, relics were shallow. You didn't need a big, heavy shovel to go really deep for the relics. So he took a standard garden hoe and made that digger. This one is made from a grubbing hoe. You can't tell it from the picture, but the back, you can see where the pick was ground off and the front was shortened. And he had Raleigh Cassidy carve him a special little hand grip, which he nailed and glued to the bottom. But this was Daddy's relic hunting rig. These machines were what we call today just beep and dig. With these machines, by the way, you could swing back and forth, and when the tone was the loudest, you could hold the head right over the target and it would continue to buzz strong. I used this machine for years, a great little machine. I'd still be using it if I didn't have the Deus. It's a Tesoro Tejon, doesn't look like much, but it was a deep digging machine. I found more plates, more buckles and plates with this machine than with my Deus. Of course, back when I was hunting with the Tesoro Tejon, relics were a little more plentiful. Sometimes when I'm relic hunting, you'll hear me say, boy, that really sounds like a bullet, or I'll say that really sounds like a period target. An old target like a Civil War bullet or a button or a piece of old brass or harmonica reed, it tends to give almost a two-tone warble on my machine. Now, I have to tell you that, first of all, I hunt almost exclusively in deep mode because I feel like I can get 4 or 5 inches deeper. Now, if I'm on a really, really trashy site that I've never been to before and I'm just trying to figure out what might be there, I'll definitely run hot sift or sonar, something like that. But if I'm on a battlefield where I know there are relics and I know it's been hunted, I'll run that deep coil, deep program, and I'm looking for the deep relics. But when I hear a period target, it's almost a two-tone warble. Now, a nice big hunk of iron, like a shell fragment or a plow point or something like that, it's going to fool me. It's easier for you to hear it than for me to explain it. But see if you can hear the tone kind of break back and forth between a little two-tone sound. Give this a listen. It's almost like a little double tone. Your machine may be different, but that's the kind of signal that I'm looking for. I'll tell you this much, though. I get fooled a lot, and you will too. And the best way for you to know when to dig and when not to dig is to get out there and use your machine as much as you can. You've just got to work with it until you learn what you're listening for. And even today, sometimes I'll get a tone that does not sound real great, but I'll dig it anyway just to remind myself. Anyway, I hope this has helped a little bit. I was glad to get back on some Civil War relics, and hopefully we got some more of those kind of hunts coming up here. I'm looking forward to that. If you enjoyed what you saw today, subscribe to the channel if you like. We'd love to have you aboard and have you as one of the battlefield walkers. We'll go relic hunting again soon. Until we do, remember to be good, say your prayers.